It's 8:25 p.m. on Saturday, October the 18th, 2025. I'm meteorologist Spinks Meganson, and we're tracking a system that could produce a few tornadoes and damaging straight-line winds across parts of Alabama and northwest Florida in the overnight hours. Thanks so much to everyone joining us on X and on YouTube. We're getting set to go live on Facebook shortly for our severe weather update. It's the first low-end severe weather risk of the fall severe weather season. Getting ready to go live shortly across all of our platforms. Let's go ahead and roll that right now.
Live from Red Zone Weather in Bruton, Alabama, with meteorologist Spinks Meganson. A severe weather update starts right now.
For the first time in a while, we have a severe weather risk setting up for the overnight hours into your Sunday. A tornado watch now in progress for much of central Mississippi ahead of this complex of thunderstorms currently near the Mississippi River that's pushing off to the east. We're also potentially going to have some more storms that develop to our south and west that ultimately come into our region overnight. Some of those storms potentially could produce a few tornadoes. Hope you're having a nice Saturday evening. I know that we've got college football ongoing, but we did want to come on the air and bring you a quick update as to what you can expect overnight into your Sunday. So let's get into it. We have a level 2 out of 5 severe weather risk for much of Mississippi and the far western part of Alabama, from Florence back down to Livingston, down to Chatham. For most of us, it's a level 1 low-end severe weather risk setting up for the overnight hours, extending into the daytime hours of Sunday. And speaking of Sunday, here's the outlook for tomorrow, kicking off at 6 a.m. You see a big chunk of our area involved in this low-end level 1 out of 5 risk, driven by the potential for a few tornadoes and damaging straight line winds. Those are going to be the two hazards of concern with this event in the overnight hours extending into your Sunday. Here's the combined view, and this is a low-end risk. This is not a night that you need to stay up, panic, or worry, nothing like that. This is a run-of-the-mill severe weather risk, the first one of the fall season. And most of us are in this low-end risk zone. You do have a few communities back here in West Alabama, near Milry, near Yarbo, near Chatham, up to Cullenberg, Butler, also Gilbertown, involved in the level 2 out of 5 risk, along with much of southeast Mississippi. You got Hattiesburg, Laurel, Leakesville involved in the level 2, slightly higher risk. And that's because that's the zone where the atmospheric ingredients are kind of more in sync and could produce a few more tornadoes and damaging straight line winds. The risk across our local area remains a bit lower. Here's the timing on this. And unfortunately, this thing could kick off in the middle of the night. So we're talking 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. for much of us across South Alabama and Northwest Florida. Obviously, early on in the time window, the further west you got them. All those areas probably going to have the worst of the weather earlier on, and then this whole thing is going to advance to the southeast and get into northwest Florida, places like Pensacola, Crestview, Destin, Milton, by the time we get most likely into the hours after sunrise. And so there could be a few storms before sunrise, and again, we all have this low-end risk basically now until roughly midday tomorrow. Again, not a big bad severe weather risk, but a risk nonetheless. It's a level 1 out of 5 low-end tornado risk, and gusty winds also possible. Quite a bit of lightning in the stronger storms as well. Let's look at how it may happen. This comes off the high-res rapid refresh model, and by the time we get to midnight, probably going to have a few showers around. I don't really think these will be severe, most likely. Could they be? Yes, but most likely no. But it does look like we could have a few strong to severe storms by the time we get to 4 and 5 in the morning. That look is valid at 4 o'clock in the morning. Not only are we tracking this line of storms, we're also concerned about a few cells that could develop out ahead of the main line coming in from the Gulf. by 9 o'clock in the morning, overall, we should see kind of a downtick in activity. But even around lunchtime tomorrow, there could be a few lingering thunderstorms. Most, if not all of those, should be below severe limits. And so the core risk on this is really 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. You got to have a way to hear urgent weather warnings, something that will wake you up before you go to sleep over the next few hours. This whole mess coming out of Mississippi, going to cross our region and ultimately end up in Georgia and North Florida by the time we get to midday tomorrow. And again, I think the storms that will be moving through around midday, any lingering storms, should be below severe limits across our region. But a few tornadoes, damaging straight line winds possible. And let's kind of get into the ingredients. This is so typical this time of year. Better instability going to happen closer to the coast. This parameter is what we call convective available potential energy. In other words, it's how much fuel do the storms have to work with. And in this case, these numbers could support maybe a tornado or two, gusty winds, that sort of thing, but these are not, screaming values or anything like that. After sunrise, we'll see those instability values begin to come up again. But numbers around, say, 1,300, the further east you go, the lower the instability values. But these numbers certainly could support, potentially, maybe a tornado or two, but gusty winds and quite a bit of lightning in the storms closer to the coast as well. By tomorrow morning around 8 o'clock, does look like we could have some storms rumbling through northwest Florida. But again, I think by 11 o'clock, most of the action should be to our east. Here's the mismatch. The better shear values are happening to the north. Better cape or instability to the south near the coast. Better shear farther inland. And when I say better, I mean higher values that would support stronger storms. You can see these shades of orange and red. That lets us know where we have higher wind at about the 5,000 feet above your head mark in the atmosphere. And so if you're looking at the overall atmosphere, there's going to be some gusty winds higher up that could support potentially some gusty winds and tornadoes. And here's another parameter. This is what we call updraft helicity. This doesn't mean that the specific spots that you see here are necessarily going to have a tornado, but we look at the overall trend, and there is some streaks of updraft helicity pushing off to the east when these storms are coming through in the morning. And so could there be a tornado or two? Yes. Is it a definite? No, it's not. This is a low-end risk. One thing that we haven't talked about yet is this. We're going to get some good beneficial rain off this system, regardless of if we have severe storm formation or not. Most of us across the region probably going to pick up between half an inch and say 1.5 inches of rain in total. I think most of us will be in that range, right around 1 inch. That's going to help with the ongoing drought conditions. It's not going to bust the drought by any stretch of the imagination, but any rain at this point is helpful. So a low-end level 1 out of 5 severe weather risk, pretty typical for this time of year. Again, nothing to panic over or stress over, but it is important that we all have a way to hear urgent weather warnings in the overnight hours. Right now, storms lining up to our west. We'll probably see some storms out here develop. Several questions. Could we get a tornado watch overnight? That is a possibility, but it's not a guarantee. You have to have kind of the groupings of storms to get a tornado watch. In other words, you're not expecting 1 or 2 storms when you get a watch. You're expecting more than that. So we'll see if the Storm Prediction Center decides to issue a tornado watch, I should say. Right now, I would put the probability at about a 40% chance, but that may rise in the overnight hours. Now, here's the deal. Again, I know we've got college football going on over the next few hours. Just have a way to hear warnings before you go to sleep. You need something like a NOAA weather radio that can wake you up, that will be loud and proud and get your attention. And obviously you want those wireless emergency alerts on the cell phones turned on as well. And so again, we'll be here throughout the night. If we have tornado warnings, we'll come on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live to bring you the very latest. On behalf of all of us here at Red Zone Group LLC, I'm meteorologist Spinks Meganson saying goodbye for now. Again, updates will be posted in the Red Zone Weather app even when we're not live on Facebook. Hope you have a good night.
Be sure to find us across social media, and don't forget to download the free Red Zone Weather app and set up your customized alerts. Please support our Red Zone Weather sponsors who make our coverage possible every single day.